What's up guys, Klein here, and I'm here in Tyler, Texas this week for the Texas State Championships, and I'm going to show you what I'm carrying in my bag for the 2022 season. So I'm going to start you guys off with what I'm putting with this year, and I'm putting with some old school P-line P2s. These are pretty fresh, but they also got some wear to them. These will kind of be my staples in my bag for putting this year. They're really pretty stiff, pretty slick, but that's what I like. I normally get pretty sweaty hands, so they feel well, they fit well, and they putt awesome. So that's what I'll be using this year. So next, I'm going to be taking you guys into my throwing putters. I have 4 here. To start off, I have an Exo Soft Logic. I've had this one in the bag for probably 6 or 7 months at this point. So it's very beat in, very understable, but it still flies great, flies true, and I can trust it on really any shot where I need it to hit the ground and sit, or stay in the air for a long time and be turning right. So this will be good on those touchy approaches on tricky greens. Next, I have a Lux Link, shout out Terry Miller. This is a little more stable in that Logic. It's going to be a little glidier, a little more overstable, so I can trust this in a little bit of a headwind and when I need to move a little bit more left or a little even flex line. So this is a good one as well. I'll be using this quite a bit in the woods. Next up, I have this Exo Hard Tactic. This one's been in the bag also for a few months or so. It's pretty beat up, but I can still trust it to throw it hard on some forehands and even some backhands. I can throw it hard into a headwind, it will go straight, stay straight, and it'll sit pretty soft. So this one's a good use on really any course out there. So definitely utilizing this one quite a bit. And my last but not least, my most overstable is this C-Line Tactic. This one's just a headwind fighter, great for forehands and overstable shots. These need to dump early and quick. So this is a great approach disc that I'm very excited to have in the bag. All right, so starting off with my mid-ranges, I have a good selection here. I think I have 5 or so. So to start off, my favorite disc in my bag is the Klein Signature Series Midnight PROWL Meta Origin. This thing is pretty understable, but it's a great use for being here in the woods in Texas. It's great for tailwinds and turnovers and even some like touchy forehand approaches. That's all I can really say. Look how beautiful this thing is. It's awesome. I'm excited to use this really anywhere in the woods. Next up, I have 2 MD3s. The first is an old Glow MD3 I actually got from Eagle. So this one's pretty straight. I'll throw this on a slight high so it'll pop to flat and just ride dead straight. And this one's good to have. It's a good complement to that Origin. And yeah, just a good addition, good straight mid-range. The next mid-range is another Glow MD3. This one's a little bit more overstable. I can throw it on a little flex line and it'll kind of work its way out, or I can just throw it on a hyzer, even with some headwind. It'll hold up nice. So it's a great one to have and a great addition to the bag. My 4th and next mid-range is this Neo Method I got dyed. This is a great overstable mid-range for some headwinds and even bigger flex lines, like even like starting it here, letting it work all the way out. Just a great spot in the bag. I haven't really messed around with the Method too much in the past, but you know, I'm starting to work it in a little bit more, so this is great to have. Last but not least, the last of my mid-ranges is this Neo Mutant. I've had this one in the bag since they were initially produced back in May. It's gotten a lot of use, a lot of wear and tear, but it's still very overstable. So I can trust this in any headwind and I can throw it on some forehand, backhand approaches. It'll hold up to any wind you kind of put it in. So it's great to have in those utility situations. Starting off my fairways, I carry a very large selection of fairways. This is a slot in my bag I believe I am very confident in. Starting off, I have this new Italian C-Line FD. I'm getting to know this thing a little bit more as time kind of progresses. I'm learning it a little more, and I'm learning it's just a great flyer. It's not understable, but it's not overstable. It's just a great standard FD. I'll be loving to throw this thing this week. Next is an older first run C-Line FD2. This thing is a good complement to that FD. I can rip it hard on a hyzer, it'll pop to flat and just go dead straight, and then have a little fade at the end. So I'm very confident in the woods with it. I'll throw it pretty hard, and I can trust that it's gonna hit that gap whenever I needed to. So it's a great confidence disc to have. Next, my most understable fairway driver is this Neo Essence. This thing doesn't get used too much for air shots. It's mostly for rollers, so I'm sure when you get to some golf courses, you'll see this thing pulled out quite a bit. So just glad to have it. Next up, I have 4 overstable fairway drivers. Let's start out with the straightest is this old Doombird 2 S-Line FD3. This thing is well used, well seasoned, so it flies more so like the FD2 I just showed you. Yeah, it's just good to have because I really like that 9-speed rim width, and I want something that goes straight with that 9-speed rim. So this is great to have when I can just throw it flat. It'll just go super straight. I can even throw it on hyzer and it might flip to flat if I put enough power on it. So it's just good to have. Yeah, just loving it. Next up is the C-Line FD3. This is a strictly forehand disc. I only use this from 300 to 350 feet. It'll hold up to a headwind, any wind you really put it in. So it's just a great forehand utility driver. Next is the Primal Run Neo Splice. I've had this disc in the bag since the World Championships last year, and it's been very beat in, very similar to that Mutant, but still very overstable. I can trust this into any headwind, forehand or backhand. It's just a great utility disc to have for any hyzers, backhand, forehand, headwind, tailwind, whatever you need it for. It's just good to have. Lastly, for my fairway drivers is the C-Line PD. This is the new Italian C-Line from Discmania. It's just so pretty, super overstable for a PD, and it's a good complement to the PD2s that I'll show you in a minute. Just put this one in the bag recently, so I'm still getting to know it, but it'll hold up to any headwind you put it in. It's mostly backhand. I mean, maybe occasionally I'll throw it on a forehand, but it's torque resistant, power resistant, whatever you need it for, it'll do it. So can't wait for you guys to see these and throw these when they come out. All right, moving on to my distance drivers. I have 2 molds. I'll start off with the most overstable are the PD2s. I'll start out with this LIZOTTE Signature Skyrider. This thing is just a good general purpose, general use PD2. It's not super overstable, but I know I can throw it hard, flat, it'll go straight, and it'll have a reliable fade at the end. And I can even throw it for some tailwind hyzers, and I'll get some good lift and carry. It's got like a pretty good dome to it, so it'll catch the wind nice. It'll actually get a lot more distance than you think a PD2 would. It's a great complement to my DD3s that's coming up next. My next other PD2 is this Luster C-Line PD2. This is the most overstable version of the PD2 I've thrown, and it's just whenever you need it, any headwind that you can really think of, it'll hold up to it. It's just good to have for those headwind situations where you really have nothing else that'll hold up. This will. So just very glad to have this. Shout out Casey White. All right, last mold, moving on to my DD3s. I have 5 in the bag. I'll start out with my most understable. Is this Color Glow C-Line DD3. This is strictly forehands. It's very understable, so I can throw it on even like a 30-degree hyzer, and it'll stand up flat and get some turn. So I kind of designate myself as a noodle arm for forehands. So this is just good to have where I can't really turn anything else over. I can kind of throw it nice and easy and it'll still flip up and get me that ride. Next up is this yellow S-Line DD3. This one's been in the bag for a few months as well. It's pretty understable, so this is my general use DD3 that I'll use. I'll put it on a nice hyzer, pop to flat, get a little bit of turn. Just one I use pretty much every day. Any tailwinds, I can throw it in. and I think this one travels the farthest out of any of my DD3s, so any wide open distance shot, I'll be throwing this. Next up is this beautiful Team Stamp S-Line DD3 I got from Casey White. This one's still a little bit overstable, it's pretty new, but it's got a good pop top to it, so this one's pretty glidey. This will beat up to be definitely my bomber one. And this one's mainly for some forehands. I'll throw this on some flex lines to get some good distance, but it just stays in the air for so long and it still goes really far. So this is just a great DD3 to have for controlled distance. Next up in my line of DD3s is this Cloudbreaker 1. This thing's pretty used, but it's still got some nice stability to it, more so than that blue one, but it's still nice and stable. I can throw it into a headwind, it'll get a little bit of pop-up, and maybe a little bit of turn, but it's still got a reliable fade, so it fits in well with my other DD3s. My last disc is Cloudbreaker 3. The white ones I've heard are the most overstable, and from the ones I've seen, I can attest to that, they are. It's getting a little bit beat in, but it still rivals a PD2 for stability. So it goes as far as a D3, but as stable as a PD2, so it's great to have when I need a headwind distance drive, but I still need to go 450 feet. All right guys, that's it for my in the bag. I want to give a shout out to all my sponsors, Discmania, Grip Equipment, Whale Sacks, Great Lakes Disc, and then Beacon Sports Management for all supporting me and letting me do what I love to do and allowing me to be out here performing at the highest level in all these cool places. So again, thank you to them, and catch you guys in the next tournament.